is not to turn to any of his teammates. It's to immediately turn to the fans and celebrate with them with this incredible, very natural and very authentic joy. I can't come up with too many other athletes, certainly not baseball players, that I would describe that way. Can you? Or is it just that unique?
So did I talk about the story that I'm going to be doing on Julio with you guys last week?
You mentioned it, but yes,
we're waiting.
Yeah,
we're all waiting.
So I'll give a little bit of insight into it. I talked with Ichiro. It was like a very cool moment for me because there's still, I've been doing this is my 21st year covering baseball now, and there are still like that handful of guys who I grew up watching, idolizing, just in love with how they played and who they were, that when I talk with them now, it's less like part of the job and more like this grand privilege that I have. And it was, Ichiro had just finished taking swings in the cage and was walking over at the spring site, near the door, how they have like that turf area.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just sitting down cross-legged on that turf area. And I just went and sat down cross-legged right next to him. And Alan Turner, his interpreter, was there as well. And we just talked for an hour about Julio. And the word you used there, Mike, joy, is one that Ichiro kept going back to when he was marveling at the person and the player that Julio Rodriguez is. And, it was a really telling moment, I thought, because Ichiro's always been an extremely thoughtful guy. You can tell that by the way that he answers questions, by the way that friends and teammates talk about him. He's just somebody who doesn't shoot from the hip. He really gives thought to his feelings about people. And he was saying, in hindsight, I don't know that I could have done it. I don't know that I could have mustered it, but I wish that I played with some of the joy that Julio does, because I see it and it's infectious. Like it is the sort of thing that is special and unique. And when I say unique, I mean it by the dictionary definition of the word, one of one. Like nobody does that like him. And it's one of the characteristics among many that he has that I think makes him such a special player, that he has this unbridled joy that he plays with. And it is just so cool to see. And Seattle is so lucky to get to see it 162 games a year for the next decade plus.
So is the story already done?
No, it is not. Still reporting and writing it, but at some point in the near future, you will see it on ESPN.com.
Can I give?
We have some very cool photos to go along with it too.
Cool, very cool. Not that it needs any more anecdotes, and that was awesome, by the way. But I am, as you were sharing that, I am reminded, Salk, and we've talked about this a couple different times. Much like I have never, and we've never seen, certainly a player in our market as effervescent and just connected to the fans and magnetic the way he is. Jeff, I don't remember a player when they were 17 sitting in the stands when he was a young prospect. He would sit in the stands and during spring training games and watch the team. I mean, he wanted to be a part of it and all of it, but he just has that connection to the fans. So Salk asked you earlier, can you think of even another player that is in that comparison, like another player currently or in previous years where you're like, yeah, actually that dude was so magnetic. Yeah, actually that guy connected with the fans in any kind of way close to what we're seeing with Julio?
Well, I think it depends on what sort of connection, Brock, you're looking for. I think sometimes players or fans connect with players, but it's not reciprocated quite the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very fans adore this guy, and maybe it's because of his personality, maybe it's because of his play, maybe it's a combination of both, but you definitely see the fan attachment. When there's something like as symbiotic as it is with Julio and the fans in Seattle, off the top of my head, I can't think of any. No.
Bryce Harper maybe a little in Philly. It's grown. It kind of feels from afar, at least, like there's a little bit of man. He loves Philly, and Philly loves him, but that's taken some time.
Yeah,
That
you know
wasn't
what
at
though? Like
23.
the outward displays on the field are not quite the same with Julio. I think that's Bryce talking after the game about how important the fans are. But the in the moment displays, and this is to say nothing of against Bryce, like it's great. But Julio also plays a position, I think probably the position that allows for that more than any. When you're in center field, you are alone out there. You're not there to instantaneously celebrate with any of your teammates, and you're 375, 400 feet away from the dugout. And so, all of a sudden, where do you have to look? Where do you turn? To the fans who are closer to you than any other player is at that point. And so I think the position helps in that respect, but it's awesome. And I think Seattle fans are extraordinarily fortunate that he has turned out to be the type of player that he is, because I didn't see him playing center field, and certainly didn't see him playing center field at the level he does, but that was something that was important to him. That was a goal, and it's something that he's absolutely achieved.